So in this video, I'm going to try to go over some logical or key details that is very important to understand. First of all, you shouldn't be judging anybody else in your life. That's one thing I see common. People who judge other people in life. Why shouldn't you judge? Because you're most likely wrong. A guy with a backpack doesn't necessarily mean he's homeless. A person who is living in the shelter doesn't necessarily mean that he made any bad choices or she did. Like, for instance, Angry Beth. If you saw her walking down the street, just came out of a shelter, you would think that she was a drug addict. And 35 years old, eye is crooked, scars all over the body, homeless people all around her. You would think, okay, she must have did some drugs and ended up there. No. She came to America from a Cambodian family and they used the shit out of her for Social Security. She was made crippled by her father, and then the pharmaceutical industries and the medical doctors and the hospitals crippled her some more, gave her PTSD by fucking around with her body and mind only because she didn't speak English. I'm not even kidding. That's what it was. The parents wanted to push this for Social Security, and the doctors went along with it. Well, the same thing happened to me. So keep in mind that judging is a bad idea. The other problem is I see a lot of these older folks who got a great hand of cards. They were born right after World War II when the Reconstruction started. They were born in a time where working hard is all you needed to do. I mean, nowadays, yeah, if you were born into a good family, they put you through college, you should be able to work your way to the top. But if you were born in an orphanage, and at the age of 5, they screwed up your nervous system with an overdose, and then at the age of 7, you got dealt the cards of a full bottle of Ipecac. These are the cards I was dealt. Very confusing cards. Most kids don't get dealt these type of cards. Like, for instance, here's a card I got dealt. So my nephew at 5 years old brought a lighter to school. So he made a bad choice. What cards did he get dealt for that bad choice of bringing a lighter to school? Well, he had to hear his uncle tell him a story about how bad things could go. I told him, did you know that bringing a lighter to school could end up with you getting shots in the arm, being held down, having medications forced into your body like what happened to me? And then I said, I'm going to bring you to your mother, and she's going to handle this. And I brought him. I said, what you did was wrong. You shouldn't be bringing lighters to school. Then the mother had a talk with him. So he got dealt the card of, hear a scary story, deal with my mother, and get in trouble. Also, he had to deal with the cards of how to move forward. Don't bring lighters to school anymore. Bring lighters to school anymore and get in more trouble. Or bring lighters to school and get expelled or get injected with medications. Okay, how about me? I brought a lighter to school, and I was playing with matches at his same age. What happened to me? I was put into, first of all, my mother went nuts. I got dealt the card of my mother screaming and making up fantasies and trying to make it into a bigger deal than it is. She always used to do that. She would take something like bringing a lighter to school and blow it up to burning a house down or something. I mean, oh my God. Not only that, she would belittle me, yell at me until I went along with her nonsense. I would tell her, no, that's not what happened. No, it's not what happened. No, it's not what happened. Until she just fucking yelled at me so much that I just said, fine, shut the fuck up. And that's how I felt about my mother. Absolutely. Because she wouldn't shut up about her lies until I went along with them. Well, it was so terrible. So I got dealt the card. Say no. Oh, nope, that's not working. So I kept on trying to play the card. Truth. Now that card, truth, means just answer the question truthfully. My mother asked me a question, I answer it truthfully. But that card isn't working with my mother. Being honest never worked with my mother. I'll give you an example. I won a swimming medal. So I wanted to play the honesty card again. So I took my swimming medal and I went to my mother and said, look at the swimming medal I won. But that card never worked with my mother. Instead, she turned that into a mental illness. Yes, my mother turned me winning a swimming medal in an orphanage into attachment disorder, lying, and kleptomania. I'm not even kidding. All I did was win a swimming medal in the orphanage, and my mother spin a mental illness once again. Oh, yes, my mother played that card a lot. How can we blow this out of proportion and turn it into a mental illness? That is the card my mother liked to play. So that is the card I got a lot of the times. So, what cards did I get when I brought a lighter to school? Oh, I got injected with medications. I got the card, hold him down and inject him with Thorazine. What other card? I got the card, miss school for 30 days and be put in a hospital. Why? Once again, I'm playing with a match. I'm a little kid playing with a match just like my nephew did. But there's a big difference here. My nephew has a good mother. She knew what to do in this situation. My mother was a complete lunatic. So when you take the same situation, a 5-year-old brings a lighter to school, a 5-year-old takes a match and plays with it. Now you could say, well, did your nephew steal it? Yes, he did. He stole his uncle's lighter without his permission out of his room. My nephew snuck into my room, snuck into my belongings, took my lighter out of my belongings, and then hid it in his backpack, then brought this lighter to school and played with it. Then brought it back, and when I was going through to get his homework to do with him, because he was hiding his homework too, I found the lighter in his bag and had a talk with him, telling him the scare straight story. What happened to me will scare any child. Scared the shit out of me. I was a little kid being held down, injected with Thorazine because I played with a match. I mean, it was fucked up shit. I didn't know how to mentally handle this shit. No, this is the type of stuff you got to figure. Well, how about this one? At the age of 16, you're getting dealt the cards. Get your license, get your learner's permit, walk around, play basketball, play baseball, make friends, build a relationship, get ready for college, stuff like that is usually, those aren't the cards I got. The cards I got was, I can't drive, there's something wrong with me, but nobody will tell me what's wrong with my body. When I try to move my arm, my leg twitches. My arms are banging in the doorknobs. My leg is bouncing out of control. It just does that. I can't keep my left leg from bouncing. What happens when it does that near a break? I can't keep my arms straight when I try to do a right turn, or when I try to throw a basketball in a hoop. My arm shakes a little bit and the basketball goes to the right. I was always very good at moving the ball around at basketball, but when it came to shooting the basketball, I was terrible. And that's because I was lining up perfect. But right when I tried to make the shot, my arm would go to the right. It would do stuff I didn't want it to do. So no matter how much practice I got, every so often, my arm would just twitch when I tried to shoot. It would be like a little off to the left or a little off to the right. Or when I'm trying to skip rocks in a lake, I'll try to aim way to the left, and yet the rock will go way to the right. This has been going on for years. So I got dealt the card at age 7, mother gives me an overdose. And then I got dealt the card, mother doesn't want to call an ambulance. Then I got dealt the card, mother wants to OD me with Epicac. Then I got dealt the card, mother wants to try to traffic me to Texas to avoid her crimes getting anybody realizing it. And I got dealt the card, my mother wants to put me in ballet. Then I got dealt the card, no education in New Mexico, take beatings and food poisoning. Then I got dealt the card, move me to Maine, no education. Then I got dealt the card, bring him to Massachusetts, put him in a hospital for playing with lighters. So I got dealt very different cards. So when I got dealt the card as time to drive, I wasn't able to drive. I still today am 31 and I'm waiting to get dealt the card you can finally drive. But see, everybody else gets dealt that card at age 16. When that card came up for me, that card was next to another card that says you can't drive unless you like Jill, because you have a neurological disorder and you cannot move your body properly. And you have a mother and father who don't want anybody to know what's going on. They're hiding the pills they're taking. They're hiding, well, my father did not like pills. My father had a prescription of Percocet in his medicine cabinet that literally sat there for over 10 years. It eventually got taken by my mother and me. I ended up taking a couple, then my mother took a couple, then I took a couple, then my mother took a couple. And that's just how it went. Now, this was Percocet with Tylenol. It was like, I think, 500 milligrams of Tylenol and 5 milligrams of opiates. It was just a perk 5 with Tylenol. That's all it was. And at the end, after the bottle was half gone, and I said, oh, my mother knows about this. She's taken at least 12 from this bottle. Holy shit, I'm in so much trouble. But yet, nobody ever said anything. I switched it out for regular Tylenol, same dose. So whatever dosage was on the perk 5 with Tylenol, I just switched it out for regular Tylenol, and I never got caught. My mother knew about it, though. But she also knew that she was taking my Vicodin out of the closet. She also knew that she was taking my Xanax out of the closet. She was taking my prescriptions as well. So my mother had a lot of problems before she died of liver failure. By the way, my father hid why she died from the hospital as well. She was dying because she was drinking. She was also taking too many pills. I know this for a fact, and if my father was honest with the doctors about what she was doing the night she came home from the hospital, I'm sure the doctors would have known too and could have helped her better. But I don't think my father told the doctors about her heavy drinking, and that's a big problem. So, this is the cards I was dealt. Mother die at 19, born in orphanage, get OD at age 7, can't drive at 16, can't get a decent education. You know, I got none of what I needed. A child needs an education. He needs to be fed proper food. He needs to have a home where there's no rain on him. He needs medical care and not to be having seizures and injuries all the time. I got none of those. When my father adopted me after that, I got food poisoning multiple times in New Mexico. I was left outside. My mother did not care to get me medical care for what she did to me. Absolutely not. She only wanted psychological medical care for every single physical illness. Literally, I'm not even kidding. Like, for instance, I jumped into a pool, sliced open the back of my foot, right? My mother wanted to turn that into self-harming. I won a swimming medal. My mother turned that into attachment disorder, and that was the reason why she sent me in this program in New Mexico where I was abused in the first place. So first my mother makes up a mental illness. Then she gets me hurt by using that mental illness in inappropriate ways. Like, for instance, I came to my mother complaining of these horrible, horrible headaches and migraines. It was a side effect of the medications. All the time I was complaining about these migraines. You know what my mother said? Oh, we don't ever blame the meds. That's the wrong time to say that. So you use that phrase when your child knocks over, let's say, some milk or breaks something and then tries to blame the meds. That's when you use that phrase. But I never did that. I never stole a cookie and tried to blame the meds. I never broke anything. All I did was try to report side effects. Hey, I'm shaky. Hey, I got a headache. I'm waking up with real bad headaches in the morning. Hey, I feel very tired for hours in the morning. I can't stay awake. I was trying to report suicidal thoughts, depression, things like that as the side effects I was trying to report as they were happening with the medications. But my mother would completely ignore them and have the medications upped. I would end up taking more and more and more drugs until I was loopy. I was on uppers. I was on downers. I was on uppers like Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse. Then I also was on Wellbutrin for a while with the Ritalin, but it's a very odd mix. Then they also had me on things like Thorazine, Lamictal, Risperidone, which making my nipples leak when I was a child. Yeah, I'm a man, but when I was a boy, my nipples used to produce milk. Not even kidding. Thanks to my mother, during childhood, not only did I take ballet, not only was I called gay, not only have I had my whole nervous system fucked up and my voice changed for life, oh yeah, my nipples also leaked milk. No wonder why I was called gay as a kid and started to think maybe I was a gay person. I'm not. I'm straight. I like women. Women turn me on. Men gross me out and make me want to vomit. When a man shows me his dick, I want to vomit. When a girl shows me her titties and everything, I go, woohoo. Well, that's clearly a straight man. But when I was 10 years old, with everything my mother was doing to me, I didn't know up from down, and neither did the other kids. You think the other kids knew what my mother was doing to me? No, some of them did actually. Like my brother and my nephew knew it was wrong. Like one time my mother was beating me with a ruler in the other room again. And I came out and my nephew saw this beating. He saw way too much of my mother acting crazy. He was crying and crying. And I came into the kitchen and said, it's okay. And he goes, no, it isn't okay. It isn't okay. She shouldn't be beating you with a ruler. It's not okay. And I go, yeah, she does this all the time. It's okay, Seth, just stop crying. And this is what I had to do. I had to comfort my nephew, who was 2 to 3 years younger than me, because I'm the one getting abused. Literally, I'm comforting the person who's just watching me get abused. How fucked up is this shit? These are the cards I was dealt. Now, what cards do I have now? I'm 31. Well, I can't drive. I can't use any shelters because my disabilities aren't established. I can't get proper medical care because my parents lied and created fraudulent medical records. My parents also lied to Social Security, so I can't use Social Security. So all those lies to my doctors and all those lies to Social Security really is getting in the way of me getting any proper health care for my actual injuries or my seizures or my neurological disorder or the uncontrollable muscle movements or the fact I can't walk. I can't even get a wheelchair or any walking assistant gear issued. It's so difficult. And with me not being able to drive or walk, it's even more difficult because to get my parents' shit undone is almost impossible. I got to clean up my mother's and father's mess before I can get my own health on order. I have to fix their bullshit before I can fix my shit. So that makes it extra difficult. So what cards am I dealt right now? Die in the woods, die in the woods, die in the woods, die in the woods. Call a lawyer, call a doctor, call Department of Health and Human Services, call my father, call the family. These are the cards I can play. These are the cards in front of me. Wow, not really good cards. And now I just got dealt sludge in my water card. I'm not even kidding. 4 days ago, I got dealt black sludge in my water. If you try to turn on any faucet of water in my house, black sludge comes out. Then they turned it off to try to flush the line again. This has been happening for the whole time I moved in. Every so often, sewage comes out of my pipes, the drinking pipes, the showering pipes. And don't forget, I'm already getting sick from the mold in this building, too. I'm pretty sure my landlord just bribed his way into Rochester. Rochester doesn't have the money to really handle any of their shit. So they just let people die and get sick. But that's not the way. There's always a lawsuit. You always have your civil and human rights. And that's one thing my parents seem to violate over and over. They didn't care about my right to education. They didn't care about my right to safety. They didn't care about my right to health. But no, they just totally fucked my health up. They did whatever they fucking thought was best. Like, for instance, when I fell during fireworks, you think they brought me to the hospital? No, they first waited while I was on the ground screaming in pain for another 15 minutes. So we're watching fireworks, we're all standing up. The bangs are going off, the lights are going off, but all of a sudden I feel my my back is shocking me. I can't stand up. I fall to the ground. Then I start feeling the pain. I cover my ears, blocking the banging noise. I look at the floor instead of looking at the lights, and I'm screaming in pain as it slowly diminishes. And my parents are just like, can't you just shut up? Can't you just be quiet? We're trying to watch the fireworks. Can't you just be quiet? Meanwhile, I'm on the ground screaming in pain. And then when my mother finally realizes something is wrong and my father finally starts caring about somebody other than themselves, they look down, they say, well, we better leave. Zach's been on the ground for like 10 minutes now screaming in pain. Something might be going on with him. And then my mother tries to tell my father it might be bipolar or some mental disorder. Oh, it's probably a mental disorder. Oh, we got to go out of the fireworks because of a mental disorder. No, it's not a mental disorder. I'm getting shocked and hurt. I'm literally in pain. Mental disorders do not cause pain in the back and nervous system. It's literally causing pain because the loud noises are going in my ears and I can feel it going down my neck. But as a child, I only can call it pain, ear pain, noise pain, whatever, flashing light pain. But it's pain and it sent me to the ground. That's all I could tell them at the time. That I fell to the ground, I was in a lot of pain, and it was from the fireworks, noise, and lights. That's all I was able to tell the doctor at the time. But my parents should have known better. I mean, I'm bumping in the stuff. There we go. My mother and father called me into the living room in Chelmsford asking why I'm bumping in the stuff all the time. Why are my shins all cut up? That's not the first time they asked this. I said, I don't know. I just bump into stuff. I guess it's a boy thing. I don't know. Why would I know? You guys haven't brought me to the doctor once in the 15 years of this shit going on. From the age of 5 all the way to the age of 20, not once did they bring me to a neurologist or try to spend the time looking into what happened to me when my mother gave me that overdose in Westford. So, of course, they're never going to fucking look into it. So, of course, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Nobody has brought me to the doctors to find out what's going on. I can only tell you I fell to the ground screaming in pain and it hurts. That's all the patient is supposed to be able to know. The patient is not supposed to be the doctor. The parent, the child is not supposed to be the parent either. But I had to raise myself and I had to raise my parents. My father and my mother would act so childish sometimes. I'm not even kidding. They drank a lot. They acted childish. Their behavior was inappropriate. My behavior was inappropriate for a child for sure. But they're grown adults. I was a 5-year-old child. A 5-year-old child is learning new things. He doesn't know up from down. He doesn't know bad from good. But a 60-year-old mother should know that a full bottle of Epicac is bad. She should know that ruler beatings are bad. She should know that making up lies and twisting stuff is bad. She should know stealing her child's swimming medal and accomplishments, then blaming him for stealing it from a black individual, then telling him it must be a black individual because he's no good, and then trying to make it into an attachment disorder because the name isn't right on the back and doesn't fit your narrative. That's fucked up. You're an adult. You should know better than that. But instead, I'm the child crying on the ground, not understanding why my mother is acting completely nuts. Now I'm an adult and I have no cards in front of me to play. I can't drive. I can't work. I can't collect Social Security. I can't use the shelter. My family has moved me around my whole life, so I never established any roots. I have literally half my friends are in Texas. Why doesn't somebody drive me to Texas so I can see a friend? Or maybe I can see the neighbors that I knew in Texas. Oh, wait a minute, I don't drive. I can't get that far. And my father made sure I know people in Maine, Massachusetts, Westford, Chelmsford, Lowell, El Paso, Texas, Algonquin, Maine, York, Wells. I mean, the people I know are so scattered that a man who can't drive could never get justice, never get better, never get healthy. The cards in front of me are not good choices. There are no good choices. I haven't had a good choice in my life. I mean, even when they put driving in front of me, that was a bad choice. If I chose to drive, people are going to get hurt. That's very obvious. That is obvious to my father. He just didn't want to deal with it. He was putting other people in danger by trying to get me to drive. Yes, I want to drive. Oh boy, do I. But we need to handle this shaking and the fact that if I move my right arm, my left leg, and I mean, come on. They knew my left leg bounced out of control for let me see, that started right after the overdose, so at age 7, and it continued all the way till the time I left their house and still today. So 25 years of my leg bouncing uncontrollably. And what did I say for an answer when my father, mother, or doctors asked about my leg bouncing? I told them I don't know. It just does that. Just does that. It just bounces on its own. But what's even funnier is if I try to move my right arm and I try to keep the bouncing under control, it bounces by itself. It just jerks. On top of that, if let's say I'm driving a car and I decide to move my neck left to look out a mirror, my left leg will bounce or my right leg will bounce. So if my foot's on the gas, now I just floored it. If my left foot is anywhere near the brake, now the brakes just got hit. And if I try to make a right turn, sometimes my arm jerks by itself, so that right turn had just spun me out. Well, that's not a safe driver. No, we need medical treatment. Then I can go and drive. So that's not a good card that was put in front of me. I've never got a good choice in my life. The cards that I have to choose from are all bullshit, and people don't understand that my parents are just trying to hide that their child was made disabled, physically disabled, by the wife, by my mother. That's what they're trying to hide. They don't want anybody to know at age 7 I got an overdose and it fucked up my nervous system good. That is not anything they want to deal with. They want to go hide and run from it. And this is the problem. People don't understand that there are certain cards that get played. So people don't, like for instance, at 16, everybody gets the card, can you drive? But if you are in a wheelchair, that card is no good to you. If you're like me, that card is a bad card to choose. Yeah, that's a bad choice. You don't want to make bad choices, so you don't choose to drive. You make a good choice and you walk. Or you got another person who gets that car drive and they go and drive. And they go, why are you guys not driving? Oh, you guys just don't want to drive. You're a fucking asshole. I mean, or something like that. Well, the real asshole is the one who doesn't have the information and is judging. You don't have the information. You don't know what cards people got dealt. Like my father and mother, they were dealing me shitty cards over and over and pretending that it was flowers. They were pretending like I got a straight when really I got a 2, an 8, a jack, this random bullshit. And 2 of my cards got lost under the table because my mother's hiding them. We'll say that. I got 5 cards, 2 of them are stolen, 3 on the table don't match. Meanwhile, my opponent has already got a full house. And then they wonder why I'm missing 2 cards. Well, because my mother's fucking around with my cards. She's making sure that my cards never turn out spades. I never get a full house. I mean, I never get a good card my way. I mean, even when I got the card driving, could I take it? Nope, can't drive. How about the card work? Nope, can't work. How about the card Social Security? I see so many other people in my situation getting the good card Social Security. Do I get the flip over Social Security card? Nope. My father made sure to use that card up. My father saw the Social Security card on the table and he kept it for himself. So I don't get that card. And this is the problem. I have no good choices. I have nowhere to go. I've already gone to the Department of Health and Human Services. I've already spent years with them. I've already gone to the doctors, 5 different ones. I've gone to every place I could possibly think of in the last 10 years. I've tried to clean up my father's mess for the last 10 years. And from age 5 to 19, I tried to report my father's mess and my mother's mess. I tried to get help, really. I wasn't trying to report anything. I was just trying to report my illness. Hey, I'm falling down. Hey, I can't keep my legs still. Hey, I'm cut up. Hey, I just hit my head. Hey, I can't eat. Hey, my mother's acting unstable. She's acting crazy. Hey, my mother's lying. Hey, my mother's lying again. Hey, my mother's making up stories again. Hey, my mother's lying and making up stories again. Hey, she's blaming her drinking on me. Hey, she's popping my pills in the closet. It didn't matter how many times I reported. She even got caught for a lot of them. She admitted to giving me extra medication. She admitted to taking my medication out of the closet. She admitted to slapping me and beating me right in front of witnesses. She admitted that there was an unregistered gun in the house. She admitted that I had suicidal thoughts and depression after giving me pills that say suicidal thoughts and depression. She admitted that there was a lot of medications I was taking. She admitted that there was a reaction with medication at the age of 7 what caused me to lose my sight, ability to walk, lost all my senses, couldn't feel, couldn't touch, couldn't stand up, couldn't talk, couldn't see out of my own eyeballs, all because my mother slipped me a pill. We knew about all this. My father knew about it. My mother knew about it. I knew about it. The doctors knew about it. The Department of Health and Human Services knew about it. But my mother said, don't ask about it. She told me not to talk about it. She slapped me silly, and then that was the end of it. Then I would go to the doctors, bring it up again. She would get mad again, and we repeat, and we repeat, and we repeat. I keep on getting dealt the same shitty cards. And anytime a good card like Social Security comes up, my father swipes it. Like, for instance, when my mother passed away, that could have been a good card. Now my mother can't hurt me anymore. I can maybe go into some housing or therapy, and then also, I get a call from a lawyer saying that I have an inheritance on her Social Security and I can claim it. Oh, no, my father took that card too. My father jumped ahead of me, locked me in the house, made sure I wouldn't go to the will hearing, and then cleaned up all the Social Security money himself. Because a lawyer called me and told me I needed to talk to my father because there was money that me and him were supposed to claim together that we both were entitled to, but my father made sure that he was the only one that could collect it so there'd be more money in his own pocket. Anytime there was a good card that came up for me, my father would run in front of it and steal the card. If Social Security came up, my father would just fuck it all up and take it all. If the card of my mother passed away and I get an inheritance, no, my father run in there and take it all. I want to go to see my mother while she's dying. My father makes sure that I can't see her as she's dying. He goes in, locks me in, makes sure that nobody will give me a ride. He's very good at this he's very greedy when it comes to money. He'll come up with all these justifications. Well, you're a drug addict, you would just spend it. Well, you know that? You sure I wouldn't spend it on rent? Seeing as I'm living in the woods having seizures every day? Do you ever think that maybe I would want to live indoors? Maybe that's where I would spend the money, but no. He would make up a fantasy to try to get you on his side. No, my son's a drug addict. He'll just spend it on drugs. I deserve the money so I can spend it on vacations. Fuck. What have you done that's so good with the money? Giving it to your wife's children? Is that what he's doing? Most likely, I bet, my father is giving his money to his new wife's daughter while his own son, that he has responsibilities to fix his own mess, is literally dying in the woods. I would bet you $100 that when I was dying in the woods, or while I was crawling across traffic to get a CT scan just a couple years ago, or when I was trying to work so hard cleaning up his mess, when I took $1,000 out of my account, when I tried to get home from the emergency room because I had a seizure on a Sunday and had to pay extra money, I would bet you, as I'm spending all this money to clean up my father's goddamn mess, he's spending his money on making his wife happy, spending on his new wife. Remember, my mother died. So his new wife is probably bringing on vacation, bringing her to expensive dinners, and giving her money to give to her daughter and her new son-in-law, maybe to their grandson. Well, how about the fact that you fucked up my testicles so I can't have children? How about that? I'm not even kidding. My parents drugged me so much, gave me so many overdoses at the age of 7. There's a very good chance I'll never have children thanks to them. But do they want to fix this? No, of course not. I'm going to have to do something drastic, like live in the woods, die in the woods, something like that. Something like that's going to happen. And then I'm going to have to go on their doorstep and take this to their face as I'm dying and teach them a really quick lesson. Put the fear of God into them. Make sure they know that doing this to another person is bad. You don't get to cripple other people. You don't get to destroy their testicles. You don't get to destroy their nervous system. You don't get to make sure that they get food poisoning up in the mountains in New Mexico because you want free time. That's your responsibility. And I don't want to hear no more about them being too old. Yes, my parents are old, but all I'm asking is for them to admit to their mistakes. They have lips and their tongues work. And they could have done this a long time ago, and the state would have stepped in. For instance, the orphanages or the programs I was in, all the other orphans were allowed to go get clothing. Every month they would go to the mall and get clothing, except for me, because my father was pocketing my clothing money. Every single month, the other kids would go out to the mall to get clothing, and I was punished. I mean, literally, the punishment in this program was getting stuck in your room. You weren't allowed to leave your room. Well, when these kids left, there wasn't enough staff members left behind for me. So all the staff members had to bring the 15 kids to the mall, and then there was just one kid left in the program because I asked them, I said, why am I left in the program? Why do I have to be punished in my room? I didn't do anything wrong. They said, Zach, you're not in trouble. You didn't do anything wrong. But your father is doing something and you need to speak with him. So I'll go to my father, ask him, hey, Dad, why am I being stuck in my room like I'm being punished for 3 hours every month while all the other kids get to go to the mall all happy? Why do they get to go spend money with clothing? Can I get at least $50 every month to go get clothing? No, they don't get any money. I don't know what you're talking about. Just leave me alone. And he keeps the money some more. Then the next month it would go by. I would get sent to my room for 3 hours. All the kids would get their clothing checks. They would go out. They would go get clothing. They would come back all happy with McDonald's, clothing, the works. Well, I've been stuck in my room and can eat a can of tuna or some Chef Boyardee downstairs. So I ask again, why do they get to go out clothing shopping, get these clothing checks, they get to get McDonald's on the way home, and I got to sit in my room for 3 hours getting a can of Chef Boyardee downstairs? Why am I the only kid that has to do this? Ask your father. Your father knows why. So I go home and ask my father, why am I being left home while all these other kids get clothing checks? I don't know why, Zach. And he lies to me again. Then a letter comes in the mail that has my name on it. It says Zachary Newell. Oh, great, my name. It's Social Security and 980? Well, it doesn't say Social Security. I find that out later. There's a check with my name on it. So I go, look, there's a check with my name on it. My father goes, that's not for you, and steals. I go, but my name's on it. I'm telling you, and they get mad and violent in my face. I'm telling you it's not for you. Okay, well, you're going to get violent with me. I better back off, right? So I back off. Once again, he continues lying for years while I don't get any clothing. So I start trading cigarettes for these kids' clothing. For instance, one of the kids was an extra, extra large but had this bright orange sweater. So I traded him cigarettes for that sweater because all these kids wanted cigarettes. They would go out looking for them. I knew that they had trouble finding them. So if I could come up with one cigarette, that was worth a whole sweater. So I came up with a way to get some clothing because my father He didn't care if I fucking had clothing or if the other kids in the orphanage ended up going out. No, he only cared about his happiness. His own happiness is all my father cared about at that time. He didn't care about how this would give me worse cards in the future. Now I can't use a shelter. I can't drive a car because of my father's choices. But I'm going to end this here.